Welcome back for a third time, boys and girls. We're on our third and final problem of pages 16 and 17 from your Number Corner book. Well, let's take a look at that problem. We're going to want to do those three reads again. I know that's going to annoy some of you, but it's really important. And if you notice, the questions are asking us, we already cover them. If we do the three reads, we've covered most of those questions. So here we are. We're back to Tanika's class. There are 27 students in Tanika's class. At lunch, they sit at 3 tables. If the same number of students sit at each table, how many students are at each table? Well, I'm going to do my first read. I kind of already did, but I'm going to do it and I'm going to think as I read it. Without focusing on the numbers, let's think of the gist of the problem. There are 27 students in Tanika's class. At lunch, they sit at 3 tables. If the same number of students sit at each table, how many students are at each table? So I think the gist of this problem is figuring out how Tanika's class can sit equally, in equal numbers, at 3 different tables. Let's go for that second read. This one's where we're looking at those quantities again. There are 27 students in Tanika's class. At lunch, they sit at 3 tables. If the same number of students sit at each table, how many students are at each table? Well, I see 2 numbers written as numbers. 27 students, 3 tables. I know that there's got to be another problem if there's something I have to figure out. Otherwise, I'm done. I've got all the information I need. So I'm looking for an unknown. And I think this unknown is represented by words in the question itself. And I'm going to go to that question word of how. How many students are at each table? Well, if I TTQA that, there are blank students at each table. I think that's my missing number. Let's take a look at the third read. Here we are. What is being asked of you? What is the question? How will you go about solving it? Well, I'm not going to give you too much information there, and we already know the question. How many students are at each table? I know how many students there are. I know how many tables there are. I know they've got to move to tables so that they're an equal number at every table. All right, let's see what the problem itself is asking it. What are the words they're using? I bet we've already covered all their questions in our 3 reads. What is the problem asking you to figure out? Underline any information that can help you solve it. Well, we underlined or we looked at that information in our second read. We looked for those quantities, including the unknown quantity. And they're asking us to figure it out. That was our third read. We started thinking about that. How many students are at each table? Write an equation that represents the problem. Write your equation with a letter standing for the unknown. So let's TTQA that. Remember, I think if I take that, how many students are at each table, I at least need to have the words students are at each table in my answer. Remember, you can put almost any letter for that unknown. You're just putting something there to take the place of it until you have an answer. Let's look at the third one. Solve the problem and show your work. And even though this one doesn't say it like that first problem did, you can use numbers, words, and drawings. And like I told you, I like drawings. This problem in particular would be one that I think I could visualize it if I drew it out. But that's up to you. You give it a shot. All right? So go ahead, complete the last problem. Best of luck. Remember, and this is really important, I say this to my students in my class all the time. Remember, it's not knowing exactly how to solve a problem. It's not an excuse. Not knowing how to exactly solve a problem is not an excuse for trying. What I mean by that is, if you're not 100% sure what to do, you still should give it a try. Because that's how we learn. Trying and risking being wrong is how you learn. So only if you try to do it, whether you're right or wrong, are you going to get closer to learning how to do it. And also trying to do it, putting some work on the page, that lets us, your teachers, know what you're successful with and where you need help. If you just write down, I don't know, it's going to take us hours to figure out what you don't know. So just write as much as you can, do the work. Don't be afraid of being wrong. Nothing's going to happen if you're wrong. Nothing. That's how you learn, by making mistakes. So I look forward to hearing from your teachers on how you did. I look forward to seeing my students and the work that they do. I know you guys will do great. And doing great means you try your best and you put some work on the paper so we can help you, even if you're wrong. Have a great one. Bye-bye.